Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining for this feature of an incredible lady that has a great story to share with you today. So we're going to be discovering all the steps that this lady has taken towards entrepreneurship. We are going to be asking about her charity work and what opportunities that has opened up to our dental colleagues in the dental industry as well. So the aim for today and our special guest is to offer you all some inspiration and hopefully to be able to influence you guys to take action and focus on your own goals and dreams, and and to reach out if there's anything that you need any support with, or if you want a friendly ear to listen to, then we can be that for you as well, and hopefully guide you on your way. So with no further ado, I would love to introduce you to Callie. Callie, can I please ask you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so my name is Callie Gedge. I'm the founder of Connect My Marketing. We're a solely dental marketing agency working in the UK, US and Canada. We have a team of 9 here. We're in Malaga, we're based in Malaga. And I'm also the founder and executive director of a 12-year-old NGO called Dental Mavericks as well. So quite a varied job role, but very excited for 2022, and yeah, we're definitely on a roll at the moment in a great position.
Amazing, thank you so much, Callie, for that intro. So we connected during the peak of the pandemic.
Yeah.
We've got many neutral clients that you guys have supported to help them prepare for lots of different award ceremonies very successfully.
Yeah.
You yourselves have won lots of awards, and we were actually both runners up together in last year's Dental Industry Awards for the social media category.
Yes.
So let's focus more on Connect My Marketing.
Yeah.
What is it that you guys do to support not just dental practices, because you also work with individual dentists or hygienists to help them as well?
Yeah.
So give us the lowdown of the services that you provide.
Okay, so I think really what makes us different as a standout is that we focus on authority and credibility, and culture. Culture is very big in our marketing. So basically, we would work with team members, and when we work with a client, we've worked with clients for a lot of years. We see ourselves as an extension of the team. So, for example, yesterday I was having calls with practice managers because obviously, as you know, with recruitment and with culture at the moment, it's really difficult for practice managers and for team members. So we're focused on that. But we have a lot of data. So all our decisions are not based on whim or creativity. They're based on data where we've had successful campaigns, whether it be through pay-per-click, social media, email, or whatever media we've chosen. We know that when we're suggesting a campaign, it's not a magic bullet type of marketing. It's based on the data, the raw data that we're pulling in from our 78 accounts of people that we're working with at the moment. So that's really what makes us stand out, is that use of data, and then using that to then create campaigns. The other thing that we really love, and I've just done this today, is we love to take a practice owner through a journey with their team to be able to practice the type of dentistry that they love, but also focused on the high quality patient or inquiry. So it's not just about getting the phone to ring or getting leads to come to the door. What's the success of that lead or that inquiry? Did they move through to treatment, and how happy are you 6 months or 12 months in with your business? Then that's the sort of strategy that we start with.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you also support them and you think that far ahead. So you're not just thinking, okay, this is going to get you clients, this is going to get you new patients. But actually, you're like, you need to start thinking of yourselves more as a brand.
Exactly.
And that brand isn't just, a digital or visual logo. It's the service that you provide as well. And that has to be consistent from the whole team, and, very well focused around the patient journey.
Yeah.
Which is really great to hear, because, I think that's something that many practices would benefit having that support with, and many team members to ensure that it's consistent as well.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just what you've just mentioned, anybody with pay-per-click can get the phone to ring. But it's how those keywords are they relevant to the type of quality of the patient that you're looking for. And our measurement and data is like you've just said, it's the whole journey from the phone ringing. We manage the reception team to make sure that the conversion is working. Then did that inquiry turn up for treatment? And then from there, under that treatment, that person go forward with the right treatment for that person. So it's right from cradle to actual going forward.
It's a whole process, and you're so right. You know, it's an investment. It's a great investment for a practice to make. And if you're investing in these pay-per-clicks or getting the new patient into the practice, but then they don't have the same experience when they reach the front of house team, then you've instantly just lost them and all that hard work. Yeah, totally. So important. Team training, it's a team effort, and team training is very important. Yeah. Okay, great to hear. And your team are working remotely, and you are taking over the world as well with new clients all over the place. So how did those opportunities arise?
So we were introduced into the US market through the pandemic, basically. And all our business is grown on referral. So it's always on referral. And that's really, I'd say 80%, even though we're marketing externally on digital marketing and on Facebook and Instagram, it's going back to this credibility and authority. Are we credible? Have we got the right authority, the right expertise? And one of the things that we also focus on is making sure that we don't waste people's money. And I think dentists really appreciate that, our practice owners appreciate that. And one of the things that we see with a lot of suppliers is that if you're a dentist, then you must have money, so we must charge you more. We have the different approach where we start off small and then we build up onto campaigns to what we find that sweet spot. And I think once someone's gone through that experience of having that over, say, a 6 or 12-month period, then you're happy then to refer us into your peers or your coaching groups or study clubs or whatever. And that's basically how we've grown.
That's nice that you build the trust that way as well.
Yeah, taking the time.
It's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Managing expectations.
Exactly. And not over-promising as well, because, you know, we can sit here and say, you know, we can do this for you, we can do that. But really, the proof's in the pudding and the proof's in the data. Yeah.
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 I think that's really important as well, because a lot of practices, a lot of clinicians, they're clinical. They haven't studied marketing. This is so new to them. So they have to be able to trust the provider that they go with and trust the process. But it is such a massive investment for them. And yeah, you need to be able to measure and track those results as well.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, great. So then your international clients now, working on the same services.
Yeah.
So essentially, it doesn't matter where you're located.
Yeah.
You guys have the tools, the expertise to be able to deliver.
Yeah. So as an umbrella, we're focusing on all digital media. So we're looking, you know, as I said, pay-per-click, website development, social media. We're also looking at things like call conversion as well. So doesn't have to be part of the product, but it can be if, like I said, you're struggling with conversion. So every call is recorded, training's given, we're mystery shopping. We do a full analysis before we start with every client as well, so that we're making sure that the demographics are looked after. So there's no point if we've got an aging market in, say, Bournemouth, of going full in on a Instagram, you know, Invisalign, you know, whatever.
Audience, yeah.
Exactly. So it's that care and detail in the beginning that really we take our time and we build the trust and we make sure that the campaign fits the person.
And sometimes that's not completely obvious to the practice either. The conversations that I have with a lot of practices, like say village practices, say the smaller ones, like there's not so much competition around, might say, oh, well, we don't need to, you know, think about our marketing because we're a local village practice. But actually it might be that the local villages aren't aware that they're offering implants, say, or that they might have a piece of equipment that the other practices don't have, so then they might become a referral centre if they know that opportunity is there.
Yeah, totally. So we're looking for I mean, just a little bit of a backstory on that. When COVID hit and everybody was panicking, we made the decision as a marketing company not to close our doors, but to carry on working regardless. We've got an office here within where we live, but we all were working from home.
Yeah.
And we could see the fear on our clients' faces. Everybody was in fear. So we made the decision to pivot and look at ways of how can we make this a positive. And just going on the back of what you said is that we then arranged for our clients to, for instance, ring everybody who was over 60 on their client list to make sure that they were nothing to do with dentistry, but to do with being that community leader as a business to check on their older patients. They also, some of our clients were going out and delivering shopping for elderly. They were doing some things with Samaritans, and we got all the team members to do lots of charity work and to give back within their community. And so we kept the social media platforms actually running to the extent where they ballooned, where other marketing companies closed down and nobody was doing any activity. We actually, I'm not saying we made benefit from that situation, but we went out and we were a leader in our community.
You know, I completely agree with that. And actually we did something similar in that with marketing, you know, you can't just post for the sake of posting.
Yeah.
And what we found is during that time of the practice closures, other recruitment agencies were posting like 50% off recruitment fees. Well, actually, it's quite insensitive when people were losing their jobs and dental practices were closing. And actually, that wasn't really supporting your clients, because that's like clutching straws, almost thinking, okay, how am I going to make money at this time? So we actually took a break and we took a step back and we thought, what could we do that's actually really proactive, supportive, fulfilling for us as well? And like you said, charity work, giving back to the community. So we were holding webinars on like mindset. We did an autism awareness webinar, and we were just doing loads of, and we did a planning webinar as well to help nurses that weren't working, thinking about, okay, career pathway, what CPD can I do? And at the time it was CPD Central, wasn't it? Emails, everything was coming at you, CPD day. But we were part of that. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing now.
Well, it's keeping momentum, isn't it? You've got to keep active.
It was more just like looking out for each other, building a support network. So we held like a coffee club, a virtual coffee club on a Friday, and it was just a way for us to reconnect with our community as well, because as you can imagine, we've got our community members that we put forward for jobs, and then they didn't have a job to go to for 3 months. Equally, we had clients that had, you know, made an investment for us to help them build their team, but then felt like, okay, well, like what happens now if we don't open the practice again? So we just had to forget about the, you know, the business side of things and go back to our core, which is the community values, but also for us, for your clients and their teams as well. At the time when everything was so uncertain, I think going back to doing something that is fulfilling and purposeful brings you so much. You get so much more out of that than anything else, don't you?
Totally.
And
they remember what you did when times are difficult.
Oh, these patients.
That wasn't monetary. That was literally community.
Community driven. Big, you know, big part of who we are and what we're about. And actually at that time for your clients and practices and their patients, you know, these vulnerable members of community didn't have their family members around to check up on them or to be able to drop off their prescriptions or drop off some shopping. So not like, it's like the I don't know the saying, but it's like the knock-on effect from that, isn't it? Like it actually impacts everyone in a really positive way. So I think that was, you're right, that you were rightly seen as the leaders in the industry for that, because it was just a lovely thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Talking about other lovely things to do, Dental Mavericks.
Yeah.
How did that start?
Okay, so Dental Mavericks started 12 years ago as a vehicle to take clients out of their dental clinics, I suppose, as an adventure, really. In our first trip was to Morocco, and then it kind of snowballed into something more serious. At first we were doing a bit of trekking, some giving back, and you know, the first 4 people that came on that came for probably the next 6 years. And it carried on really as what I would call an adventure charity, in that we would go into the mountains and in the Rift and the Atlas and give back and take people out of pain. But then it started to, again, pivot into something a lot more serious once we started to work in Lebanon, which was around 4 or 5 years ago. And then from then there was the Beirut blast, which was really the catapult of change. And again, going back to COVID, that now Dental Mavericks is an official NGO, and it's actually dealing with mouth trauma and emergency treatment. And we're just about to partner with Dentec as well. We're going into dentures and lots of other positive things. But just to sort of fast forward into COVID, one of the things that we're now doing with Dental Mavericks is we are no longer a volunteer-led, or at the moment a volunteer-led NGO, because it's impossible. I mean, the borders are still closed in Morocco. Yeah. But what we have done is we've managed to survive COVID. We've managed to have donors that have supported us. And we basically have done what's called capacity building within the areas that we work, and we have local people and clinics that are running and managing the beneficiaries. So when volunteers then do come back on board, we will be enhancing the local clinics. We're about to build a clinic in Morocco soon, which has been funded by Whitworth Dental, and they again will be run by locals. So we've completely changed the way we run that. And if I'm honest with you, it's a much better way of running an NGO, because it's like the locals are doing it for themselves. It's much better. Yeah.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. Well, congratulations on all you've achieved with both with Connect My Marketing and with Dental Mavericks as well, because just one thing's absolutely huge, but being able to successfully build and scale both as well as you have is a massive inspiration.
Yeah.
What would you say your biggest challenge? Okay, I've got a couple of questions. Mm-hmm. First one is your biggest challenge so far, and then your greatest achievement as well.
Okay, well, the challenge I think is obviously ongoing, but I keep always asking myself the same question: what does it take to? I mean, it's almost like, what does success look like, doesn't it? And the challenges that are daily for me are always, and I say this to all practice owners, it's your team. Your team is always going to be your biggest challenge, and that's always my focus, is culture and teams, making sure that that leaders eat last type of attitude, of making sure that your team are well cared for, your team are well trained, always employing people that are better than you in areas of your business, not being the one that knows everything, because that's impossible, especially as you're growing. Yeah. So my biggest challenge, and my biggest challenge on a daily level is always just making sure that momentum and that productivity remains, but also that we keep the fun as well, and we don't take life too seriously, because I want to live and work with people that I have passion and I believe in, and that are ambitious. There's a certain client that fits with Connect My Marketing, and that's the challenge of keeping that business that you love, going, and all the plates spinning that go with that as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're totally right. And I think both of us are we're in a very fortunate position in that we can pick and choose who we work with.
Yeah, that assessment at the beginning is key, and it should be that like with your patients,
Yeah, absolutely. And there has to be that synergy there, doesn't there? There has to be, like, your values have to align.
Yeah, and trust. Yeah,
that trust has to be there. Like you said, you're an extension to their team. You're not someone that just says you're going to do something and then have no involvement with that progress. You're there to be able to celebrate their success with them jointly, which I think is really, really valuable and really lovely. Mm-hmm. Okay, and as any business owner, I'm sure, like, the key word that popped up there was like pivot. I'm sure that you have just had to be super fluid at times, and really just understand the what's the word I'm looking for? Right now it's a very slippery slope. It feels like it, right? We're still acting with caution. But what other areas have you had to sort of pivot towards, or apart from the pandemic, with your experience? I'm sure there's other times where you've been like, oh my goodness, like, how's this going to affect us? So how did you overcome that?
I think just going back to this, making intelligent decisions about when you're responsible for growing someone's practice, you've got to make intelligent decisions. And when we talk about that responsibility of looking after people, it's this making sure that the decisions are not made on a whim.
Right.
And also being ahead of the curve is really important, and focusing on what really matters. You know, and at the moment, the one thing that I'm doing with my clients is making sure that I'm doing a 12-week strategy and that momentum continues, because like you've just mentioned, things can go this way or that way. We're not really, in my opinion, I'm not saying I'm right with this, but this is how I feel. I'm not into 6-month and 12-month strategies at the moment. I'm only interested in the next 12 weeks. If someone's got a long-term goal that they're interested in, then of course, then we can work towards that, but we're doing it incrementally in every 12 weeks and checking in with each other. And are we on the same level? Because as you say, pivoting and everything's a vehicle. You know, you might be going this way in one respect, but then you've changed on the next 12 weeks. And your team is your issue at the minute. You know, we talked about team issues. Everybody's got recruitment problems right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, and COVID, COVID hits your practice. So we've got to always be ready and have that on our shoulders and have the energy and the capacity for change and not work on a hamster wheel.
Right. And I guess from like my experience from working with lots of other business owners as well, sometimes something that is completely obvious isn't completely obvious to us when we're overwhelmed, when, you know, all the demands are on us as the business owner as well. So actually being able to have partners that you can trust their opinion of, because with you looking ahead as well, I think sometimes it would be easy for clients to make a knee-jerk reaction. Day-to-day operations of one of the practice is like, okay, let's just get through today, we'll focus on something else tomorrow.
Yeah.
But not only as like the marketing side as a service, but in terms of mentorship and coaching, it seems like, you know, you're offering so much more than just, okay, well, this is a service we provide. Yeah. You know, this is how much
psychotherapy, I always say.
It is. It's actually like bringing the human element to it, and they're the personable relationships that you're building. And I guess, like you said, sort of planning ahead, looking to the future. Someone once gave me the analogy that when you're driving a car and you're going from A to B, you're looking from the end of the road, like where you are in the car to the end of the road, or the floor, and you know, the road in front of you. But when you're on a motorway driving from Brighton to Edinburgh, you have to look so far out in the distance because you're going a much longer journey. And that's something that's really stuck with me, and that you have to, everything else will pass you by as long as you're focused on like the main goal. Okay, so what's let's move on to your biggest achievements.
I think if we're going to talk over the last 12 months, I think because I've obviously been in business quite a long time, so lots, but I think if we just stick to the last 12 months, my biggest achievement is being able to grow our business in the pandemic, but also to go into new markets and to stay ahead of the curve, and to, you know, I've just done all the strategy calls this week, and, you know, there's a lot of tired people out there, and I love giving people energy and moving forward, but that's sort of part of it from a business perspective, is not only succeeding, but to be able to grow. I'm so proud of that. And I'm proud of the team, that it's not about me, obviously, it's about the team. But also from the Dental Mavericks perspective is to survive, because we've been running hand to mouth really with Dental Mavericks for at least since the Beirut blast, and we've managed to see it through. And we have now, you know, like I said, changed in terms of our outlook for 2022, you know, and being still stood here, and we're still taking 100 beneficiaries through treatment every month and out of pain, and whether that's a denture or a root canal or, you know, or whatever, or composite bonding. I'm really proud of that.
Even when you think how horrible it is to have a toothache, and when you're able to help that one patient or that one person, and to relieve some of that pain, is a really wonderful feeling. So to be able to provide that and do that for, you know, so many people of all ages, I'd imagine as well. That's really incredible. I've
got to add as well, you know, from a marketing perspective, it's you know, that's the beauty of marketing in dentistry, is we get to see, you know, we get to listen to the first phone call of someone in tears who's frightened and not been to the dentist for 25 years. Then we get to see the progress of that person going through with the TCO, the treatment and the phone, and then speaking to the clinician. Then we get to see the before and afters, and then we get to see the reveal video at the end with the person crying. And, and we discuss it in our meetings, we have these specific people because we're listening and listening. Yeah. And that's an absolute, from a marketing perspective, that's an absolute joy,
Absolutely. That's such a great achievement.
As well.
Yeah. And, you said like, well, how do you measure success? But actually that's the successful part, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think sometimes practice owners forget that, they forget that they're changing people's lives, even though it can be private. I'm not talking about the Dental Mavericks aspect. Yeah, and I think, we talked about before the recording about taking people out of the, if you're doing private dentistry and you come and work in somewhere like Beirut or Morocco, the number of dentists that come through that journey and have the love for the trade again almost. Yeah. And also we mentioned about the dental nurses that, have then gone on to be therapists. It's been a joy to have someone come in as a trainee dental nurse, because our retention rate in Mavericks is really high for volunteers. And, we've got Edward Branfield, for example. He started off as a training nurse, and the last time he came, he worked as a therapist with Dental Mavericks.
How lovely for you as well to share that journey, and in creating this opportunity, you've offered, you would have built their confidence up as well for them to realize that this is the career path that they want to pursue. Yeah. So you've, whether you know it or not, or whether you take credit for it or not, like you are obviously a massive influence in their dental journeys, which is amazing.
Experience, you can't, we always have this saying on Dental Mavericks, once you're a dental maverick, like I said, the retention, they always come back. Yeah. We had a lady who was a receptionist, and now she's a fully trained dental nurse because she was just watching and wanted to be that career path. So, it's all about pushing yourself out there and trying a new experience, and, you never know what's at the end of it, do you?
No, well, I'm honestly so honoured to have you as our first guest, because, there's so much that we align with. I love your sense of community. It's a big part of who we are and what we aim to be as well. And the opportunities that you've created for many it's just incredible.
Thank you.
So seriously, congratulations. You've got such a lovely team. I've spoken with many of them now. And
I think you know most of our team now.
They will be so lovely to connect with. Honestly, they're such a joy. Yeah. And if you want to fly me out to Malaga anytime, you're welcome. If there's anything we can help in, sharing the word for Dental Mavericks, we're big fans of you guys. So there's already clients that we've introduced you to in that respect.
Thank you. And vice versa.
Thank you, Callie. My last question, because I know you've got to go. My last question is, who has been your biggest inspiration?
Well, that's quite easy actually, because he's just celebrating 50 years of business this 2022, and he's a guy called Peter Thompson. He has been absolutely my biggest. There's lots of, I love Dan Sullivan, and I love lots of other sort of coaches and so on. But he, in terms of a one-to-one coaching that he's given me, he taught me how to publicly speak. He taught me how to think deeply about things. And I think he's been like the continued inspiration of the last 18 years for me. And so that was an easy one, because I was actually just did a video, because I can't go to his event. So I actually recorded a video yesterday. And so apps for sure, he's been the one that's calmed me down, told me to not have so many tentacles going all over the place. And
you need it, right? I think it's so easy.
And just breathe.
When you've got so much going on, it's hard not to be scattergun. Yeah. Because you're so excited, you want to work on a million different projects at once. So it's so important to have a coach or have a mentor be like, just
very much
simmer down.
Yeah, exactly.
Focus on this.
Breathe. Breathe. Yeah, totally.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, Callie, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking with you today.
Thank
you so much for your time. Thank you for your contribution to our industry. And I will really look forward to our paths crossing virtually.
Totally.
In real life soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, Callie. You take care.
Thank you.